Time in a bottle. Hi, we're live.
It's a forehead. Oh my God, it's a forehead.
It's a 5 head.
Hey, welcome to RCX Unfiltered. I noticed last night when I did the open it up, the original art, that I really emphasized that filtered part.
The unfiltered.
Unfiltered, yeah. If you watch the video, it's really like cringy the way I say
beautiful
filtered. It's like I'm reading a cue card, but we all know I'm not smart enough for that.
None of us can write, so cue cards are right out.
No, I don't have a producer at home, so
that's true. You have a cat though.
I do, and a couple of dogs. Watson tries to.
Yes, 2 adorable dogs and 1 apex predator.
He tries to do it, but it doesn't work out so well. All right. Well, anyway, welcome back to RCX Unfiltered. I'm Phillip.
I'm Tommy.
I'm Tess.
Or Wednesday. It's Wednesday this week. It's actually.
Yeah.
Come back here. Show everyone.
Oh,
yep. Sorry.
You gotta show off your fit. I believe I used that term correctly.
Is that what that is?
I believe it.
Wow.
It's just the braids because I haven't showered in like a week.
Sure.
It could be that the haunted house doesn't let her.
Oh my God, yeah, Shelly.
She lives inside Shelly. Take that as you will. Just saying.
Okay.
Right? I'm just saying.
Sure.
Put it out there.
So for the first time ever, I think it was Sunday, I messaged Phillip and I was like, hey, here's an idea for the show on Tuesday. And then neither one of us thought about it ever again.
No. Yeah.
So I almost had an idea, but it didn't work out. So you're welcome.
Halloween.
Yeah.
The Halloween going on.
Uh-huh. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It was about Valentine's Day.
Right. Today.
That's what it was about because obviously that's the day.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least what Tommy told me. And then we decided we didn't care.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Which is standard.
Yeah, that seems
for
right.
us. Yeah. So we will.
Yeah.
I think that's why we have an anti-Halloween display up this year.
And
Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay on my Halloween team, man. I've already messed it up.
We've got a Valentine's Day display as well.
If I'm going to mess up this thing, I'm going all in, right? All in, man.
Yes.
Yep. Fine.
Welcome to the New York Stock Exchange. We will be exchanging your stocks for comics.
That's right. Yes. Please bring in your tendered currency for comics.
Yes. I think this is the fastest we've gone off the rails since we started doing this.
You mean like right as soon as we went live? Yeah, I don't know if we could do this any faster. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to go any faster than what we've done here. It is Tuesday and it's already been a very long week.
Yeah, yesterday was a really long day and then I didn't sleep last night for whatever reason. So I am highly caffeinated and barely here.
Tommy's got his Mountain Dew over there. You're highly caffeinated too over there, Wednesday?
I am very caffeinated.
What are you caffeinated on?
Those like Alani drinks from Target. They taste like gummy bears.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're energy drinks that don't taste like chalk.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they're not bad.
They're really nice.
Yeah. I just have water.
Wow, okay.
You know what fish do in that? Nope, I'm out.
Yeah, it doesn't say it's filtered, so yeah, it's it could be. That's the flavor. It's flavored water, just not the way you think. What?
All right.
The way you pointed at the camera, I was watching it over here. I'm sorry.
We'll have to do this with alcohol one week.
In 3D. Yep.
See, we'll have to do this with alcohol one week after your Taylor Swift concert.
Very excited for Taylor Swift. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't want to derail your entire Taylor Swift thing.
Yeah.
So, or since Tess doesn't drink, we'll have to have this show with Tess on alcohol.
Not for a while though.
No, that's years away.
Yeah,
years away.
Yeah, we're looking way down the pipe.
I was about to say.
Yep.
Well, I just mean when you, since you don't drink at all.
We'll have to do a special 21st birthday edition. 25th. Yeah.
Wow, that's really way
A
down.
special Halloween birthday edition.
Yeah.
It's funny because my birthday's around Halloween.
I'm saying you only have like a year and a half, right? Ish.
I don't know.
Me either.
That amount of time.
I'm still like 5 years away from being able to drink.
Yeah, one day you'll get there. I believe in you. Ooh.
Comics? Want to talk about comics?
We can try. We haven't really read much this week.
But it's a pretty cover. You could talk about the House of Slaughter pretty cover.
Yeah. So
House of Slaughter comes out tomorrow.
House of Slaughter, which for those of you who've been keeping track, the second volume of House of Slaughter was one of my top picks of last year. I love Somebody's Killing Children. House of Slaughter is just as good. I am hoping that in the morning I will get to read a bunch of books before we open. So that's in my stack. Actually, I think we're just looking at some of my stack of books.
We are. We'll go do this.
Yeah, this one.
This one's I'm excited for.
Phillip got a preview of this book.
Yep.
I think it was our 0 episode.
Yeah,
remember.
basically it was the first few pages of this, I believe.
So I'm very excited for it. I've gotten really back into fantasy, which I was a huge fan of as a teenager. Dungeons and Dragons was a big part of my teen years. So I'm looking forward to reading this as well.
So it's The Last Barbarians by Brian Haberlin, and this is basically his love story to D&D.
Yep. So
and which he does watercolors pretty.
Yeah, his art's always really pretty.
Well, this is his cover.
Yeah.
He didn't do the insides. This is the same team that brought you Hellcop.
Okay, I didn't read Hellcop, but
Hellcop was fabulous.
It looked ridiculous. So yeah,
I loved Hellcop. So there's a book. Actually, you probably should pick up that. And we have blank variants for that.
Yeah, we do have not a lot. We don't have a lot of blank variants, so get in early if you want some sketch covers.
And then
this I'm very excited for, because for those of you who have not been reading this,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. In the last issue, they killed Peter. So I don't know what's happening now.
Yeah, we have no idea.
He's on the cover, but I don't understand. So
it's the snap. See, he's dusting away.
Oh, snap. I've got the power. Yeah. So anyway, this end of the Spider-Verse story has been, if you were a fan of the other Spider-Verse stories, it has been exceptionally good. Lots of new spider people, including a Disney princess that sings all the time. Which Gregory's a big fan of because he is also a Disney princess that sings all the time.
And we get a Photon backup story.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And I've enjoyed all the backup stories. All the backup stories have been really good in the Marvel books. So, because,
Yeah, the trade for Edge of Spider-Verse, which was the kickoff of this, where they introduced a whole bunch of new spider people, that comes out tomorrow as well. So I pulled those issues off the wall today.
Say it isn't so.
It is, in fact, so. It is. Yeah.
Well, at last we knew them well.
How many times has Peter Parker died and been brought back to life?
Oh my God. I don't know that numbers go that high.
Once in that book there.
Craven killed him that time.
He didn't really kill him though.
Oh,
it was tranked. There's a difference.
He put him in a coffin and he buried him.
Right, but it was a tranquilizer dart.
And then he ate a room full of spiders.
It was a dart, man.
Because he was perfectly mentally stable. Like I was when that book came out, I remember Marvel getting a ton of hate mail from parents who read that issue by itself and without the context of the first, because it was part 5 of the story, without the first 4 parts, it seemed like Craven was like, oh yes, this is the logical conclusion of my life. I have done everything I need to do. I'm gonna Kurt Cobain myself. And it seemed like that single issue, the way it was written, it was like, oh yes, perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, but Ben's been killed more than Peter has.
Yeah, but he's a clone. He doesn't.
I'm just saying, but that clone's come back more than.
All right, but if you really think about it, every time Ben gets killed, technically, so is Peter.
That's fair. Stupid clones.
Oh man, yeah, clones.
So what's the worst Peter death?
The worst death?
Yes. Not like the one that hit you the hardest. Because I'm going to see if you lie. Because I know the answer.
Do you?
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure I know the answer.
Oh, you know the answer. Because if you don't say it, and when I say it, you're going to be really mad.
But when Peter died?
Uh-huh. Spoiler alert, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, man. Yeah. Spoiler for a 15-year-old book.
I'm just saying.
Peter dies. Yeah, that one hit me hard, and I've gone back and reread that a few times, and it hits me hard every time. You were right. I'm dumb. I was thinking the main 616 Peter, and I was like,
no one said that.
I was like, I know.
Well, if that's the case, then the number's way high with the Edge of Spider-Verse or Into Spider-Verse. Yeah. Peter's died thousands of times.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead Peters now.
He's died thousands of times in the first 4 issues, and we haven't even read this one yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
If we wanted to count all the Peters.
Yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man, my favorite version of Spider-Man. But that was tough. Man.
Told you.
Aunt May in that story is a legend.
Well, Ultimate Universe, Aunt May is the best version of Aunt May
she's
ever.
So cool.
Yeah.
I'd say that the Tom Holland version of Spider-Man, they borrowed heavily from Ultimate Aunt May.
Right. And you got to see a lot of Ultimate Aunt May in the movie too, the Edge.
Yes.
Miles, the Edge of Spider-Verse. That was Ultimate Aunt May.
Yeah.
Basically to a T.
Yep.
It just looks at you and go, y'all are all idiots. It happened.
Has there ever been a main Marvel character or DC character that has died and never come back to life?
Never.
Or hasn't yet.
So the main universe, not counting alternate realities, not counting clones, Uncle Ben, Gwen,
Martha and the Waynes.
Thomas and Martha Wayne.
Right.
Marvel, the original Captain Marvel. Right. Which if you have if you want to do some self-harm, read The Death of Captain Marvel graphic novel. Man, is it good, and boy is it sad.
Yeah, it is. It is actually phenomenal.
Yeah. The Graysons, Dick Grayson's parents have never come back.
Right. Nope.
Jason Todd's parents have never come back, but that's because it's Jason Todd.
Parents.
Yeah, a lot of dead parents.
There's a lot of dead parents.
Yeah. Bambi's mom.
She never came back. Mufasa. Yeah. It's the people that made the heroes who they are, they never came back.
Yeah. Now we've got an alternate universe, the Flashpoint Batman is Thomas Wayne. And we did get a Spider-Man version of Uncle Ben in the original Spider-Verse. Right. Which he was pretty cool.
He was pretty cool.
But yeah, a lot of the people who died to make the heroes what they are, they tend to not come back. It used to be the rule was you were Bucky dead.
It's Bucky.
If you're dead, it means you're like Bucky. You're never coming back. And then things happen.
That's Brubaker's fault, though.
Yeah, but
Brubaker goes, I'm going to take a character that's been dead forever, and I'm going to finally make him cool.
And he
did.
He did it. Man, did he ever.
Yeah, he did that.
That run of Cap is phenomenal.
I guess the only parent type person that died and came back, which technically ruined an entire issue, was Aunt May. So she died in issue 400. right?
Which might be the single best written issue of Amazing Spider-Man
Which
ever.
may be right.
Oh
it
God,
is phenomenal.
It was hard to read and beautiful.
But when they brought her back, it kind of ruined 400.
It kind of ruined Spider-Man for me for a couple years.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
It was a hard.
Ooh, yeah.
It was a hard kill, man. It was a hard kill.
But like on the flip side of that, years later when Straczynski was writing Amazing Spider-Man, Aunt May sort of walked in on Peter while he was crashed out, covered in blood and bandages and still wearing half his costume. And then we got this beautiful, they did a month called Nuff Said where all the issues were silent. And Aunt May, after finding out that Peter is Spider-Man, goes to the library, because that's where the computers live, and researches Spider-Man and all the things that he's done. And like she cancels her subscription to the Daily Bugle because they were anti-Spider-Man, and she just does all it was a lovely issue of Spider-Man, and without her coming back, we would never have gotten that. But on the flip side of that, if she had never come back, then the whole selling my marriage to the devil would never have happened.
Never happened, right?
So, pros and cons.
So Aunt May ruined everything. She ruined everything, I tell you. So
for all the good he did, that is the one thing I will never forgive Joe Quesada for.
Yeah. Good old Mephisto.
What about the worst villain death?
Worst villain death?
Worst villain death?
Like the one that hit me the hardest?
There's no such thing. I have no such thing.
I'm trying to think. Like,
I could care less.
I know. We know.
Like
sure.
Villains who like sometimes villains go on a redemption arc.
Nastiest death.
Nastiest death?
Oh, well, no, he's not. Well, so he's a villain to me because they brought him back. Jason Todd. When
that could also be most satisfying?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
They're different categories.
Yeah.
Okay.
To watch the Joker beat him with a crowbar.
Yeah, like a 15-year-old kid getting beat to death with a crowbar. That was pretty rough. Yeah. That came out in what, 88?
Yeah.
We were young.
We were young then.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and then, technically when he came back, he was a villain.
Yeah.
So, and he,
Mm-hmm.
I still have to put up with him. He still shows up in my stuff.
Yeah, I will say though, like alternate reality Jason Todd's, and honestly, it's Tom Taylor. Tom Taylor writing Jason Todd. Jason ends up being a good character.
Yes.
In Deceased and Injustice, he's
but that's
fantastic.
Tom Taylor, though.
Yeah.
Tom Taylor can make any character be really good.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Taylor killed Nightwing every chance he could, so he could write Nightwing and make him the best DC comic coming out. So let's be fair.
I think it's the only one that I'm current on. I was trying to read all the Lazarus Planet stuff, but I got behind.
Yeah, and Nightwing is the only the only DC book I'm current on. So
yeah,
but that's because it's so good. So just saying.
I'm still trying to think if there's a villain death that really affected me, and I really can't think of one. And it could be because most of the time when a villain dies, a couple years later they come back.
Right.
Like there's no permanence in death in comic books, which is part of the fun, but also like some of the gravitas is taken out of the equation when you're like, oh, that guy died. See you later, buddy.
Yeah, you have to do a really good story now, right? Like if you're going to kill someone, whether it's a villain, a hero, whatever, you have to do a really good story when they come back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's so if the story's really good, then it's fine. It's fine that they died. It's fine that they come back. It's a comic. So.
Like a very like a poignant death was Colossus. Like there was basically mutant AIDS. Like a guy had created a virus that was affecting mutants and was making their powers go crazy, and their powers were killing them. And they figured out a way to cure it, but someone had to die to disperse it. Right. Like that was the gist of it. And Colossus was like, I will take that bullet. And then many years later, it was 15 years ish later, in Astonishing X-Men, they brought him back, but man, they made him earn it. It was not like, oh, he's back and la la la. Like the first time we see him, Kitty runs into him and he's like, am I finally dead? Is this it? Am I finally dead? And it was like, oh God, it was so anyway. That was one of my favorite returns from the dead because it took a long time to get there and it really felt like it meant something.
Right. And then they did the like I enjoyed when they did the when they killed Thor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was Ragnarok.
Ragnarok, yeah.
So they brought in Ragnarok and they killed Thor and all of that whole group, but it was
2 years, I think.
It was more than 2 years.
Was it more than 2?
It was because we did the whole Civil War thing and all that during because we shot Hulk off to some planet, and then we did Ragnarok, which killed that whole thing. I think it was way more than 2 years.
It
but
might
it was
have been.
just
It's been a while.
Yeah. It was just a.
But Civil War was 2005.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah,
that was only like a week or two ago. So it was a good way to take Thor off the board, but then stay true to the gods, right?
Yeah.
Like so they used actually Ragnarok, and then hey, the tree sprouted again.
And man, when they brought him back, like Straczynski was writing that book, and we talked about it back when it was coming out. It was the best book where nothing happened every month. One issue, the most action in the issue was Volstagg going to the mailbox, and it was amazing.
Amazing.
It was a great issue. But like. The idea was, as long as someone still believes in the Norse gods or any of the gods,
any of them, right?
They will resurrect. And I mean, that's kind of the story of Ragnarok anyway, the death and rebirth and all that.
It's a cycle.
Yeah.
It's a cycle.
Yeah. And then again, Straczynski wrote this comeback and he made them earn it. Like it wasn't just all of a sudden the Norse gods were back. Like Thor came back and then everybody else sort of trickled in. Also led to one of the coolest like superhero fights where like Tony Stark shows up and he's like, hey man, you got to register, and Thor beats him out of his armor. It's anyway, so good.
Good old Civil War.
Yeah, the aftermath of Civil War was pretty solid. But Thor and Nova were my favorite aftermaths of Civil War.
Right. Well, yeah, but that's because they finally made Nova a good character.
Yeah,
that was a whole different issue.
Post Annihilation, pre Annihilation Conquest. Yeah. Nova comes home to visit his parents, and they like the Avengers show up at his doorstep, and they're like, "You got to register." And he's like, "Look, I've been busy fighting a war on the other side of the universe." And they're like, "Yeah, but a lot of stuff's happened here too." And he's just like, sure, yeah, you got it, buddy." Yeah.
We finally got a good Nova.
Yeah,
like Nova was fine throughout the years, but it wasn't until Annihilation, when all that happened, that Nova really stepped into its own. So, you look like you have something to say.
Oh,
please say it. Say it.
So impressive.
Do you hear this? I'm stuck here. Why were the 1099 series villains so bad? Storyline.
I assume you meant 2099.
I don't know.
Because I don't know if tax form villains. Is that just the IRS?
Yeah, the IRS is just horrible, right? They want to tax us, take our money. Those 1099s, man.
So 2099 always felt like a really cool idea with terrible execution. Like the Spider-Man 2099 was good because of Miguel, not because of his villains, not because of anything else, but he was an interesting character, and his secondary characters, all the people in his periphery were really well fleshed out. But like if you go to the other books,
you mean like Ravage?
No. Like X-Men started strong. We got this really cool cast of new characters, and then they didn't really do anything with them. It was like the big story was like somebody's a traitor, and I feel like that was around the same time they had just done like Bishop was looking for the X-Traitor, like that had just happened, and so that kind of fell flat. The Doom 2099 book had all the potential in the world, and
they started off in one direction and then they couldn't figure it out. And because I can't now it's been a while, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So it's been a long time. And so I can't remember, but I think after a while they even retconned this. So the Doom 2099 was actually Doom from 616.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the whole point of that was, but I think they at the end of it, they ended up switching it and saying it was something else, but that was the whole point, right? This was still Doom. Doom had his magic and his science, and he was still alive in the year 2099.
Well, I will say that other than the Spider-Man book, I did not get very far. I think X-Men was the one I got I think I got about 15 issues into X-Men. But I only got about 6 or 8 issues into Doom. and I did not get that far in Punisher or Hulk.
No.
I read the first
Hulk
issue
was-
of Ravage and was like, maybe
I
not.
don't think Hulk made it that long either.
Yeah,
Hulk was,
that might have been the unlimited book. Maybe
Yeah,
I don't remember if he had
that
his own
was-
book. Well, no, there's one with the green foil.
yeah,
so
there's one with
he
the
had
green,
his book.
yeah, but
I may have only read 1 or 2 issues of Hulk. Like
it was
none of it except for Spider-Man was really very good.
Miguel was a good, which is
Yeah.
why he keeps coming
Yeah,
back,
and
right?
that's why he's the only character from 2099 that
Yeah.
still exists in the comics.
Yeah, they did a storyline with him like 2 or 3 years ago where he came back to the past, and then he was there to help save the future, and then they shot him back to the future, and then I mean that's why he's going to play a prominent role in the next animated movie.
Yeah, and like
Right.
the trailer, the newest trailer that I saw. So what it makes it look like they're setting him up to be like the villain of the movie, which
Sweet.
that feels like a red herring. Our old pal.
But odds are he's going to be the only one that knows something.
Yeah.
And everyone hates people who is the only one who knows something.
That's why Reed Richards has no friends.
That's why he has no friends.
Yeah.
Poor Reed Richards. Even with that long neck, he just has no friends.
Mm-hmm. So I see Bill said Civil War brought him back to comics. And I feel like Civil War brought a lot of people back into comics. That was 2005 was close to when I started working here. We still had a couple issues of Civil War coming out when I started working here. And I remember people being just overly excited about Civil War. I think it's because at the time we didn't have like annual heroes fighting heroes stories like we do now. So it was kind of new, kind of fresh.
Well, we definitely didn't have a Cap versus Iron Man.
Right.
So, and then it was.
Yeah, but I remember Civil War bringing a lot of people back in. And then I quickly tried to move him over to Annihilation because I felt like it was a better story.
So what, that year we had Civil War, we had Annihilation
And
and
Planet Hulk.
Planet Hulk.
Yep.
And there was some other little one that came out that year.
Was that?
I was
remember.
those are the 3 main ones.
Yeah.
And Civil War was the big Marvel thing, right? Because it was its own miniseries.
Yeah.
But Annihilation was the best thing that year. Planet Hulk was probably the second best thing, but it was actually in the Hulk book. It wasn't like it didn't have its own thing.
It was self-contained. I think it was 12 issues of Hulk
was of Hulk
that told this story.
And then you had Civil War, and Civil War is great, but it is not Annihilation. Annihilation is by far to me the superior series.
I agree.
That came out that year.
They took a bunch of D-list characters and elevated them in a way. And really the iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy that we got in the films sort of spun out of Annihilation and Annihilation Conquest. Like Annihilation was a nihilist from the negative zone coming in and causing a war, trying to take over the universe in a big war. And then Annihilation Conquest was, if you remember the Phalanx, which Warlock from New Mutants is a member of the Phalanx. He's a mutant because he's not part of the hive mind. The Phalanx try to take over the universe. And anyway, Star-Lord was like, the Kree hired him to take care of their security. And then the Phalanx come in and just rip through their security. And the Kree's like, you got to fix this, buddy. So they take him to their prison planet and they're like, pick a crew out of the prisoners. And he dirty dozens it. And that's where we get Mantis and Rocket and Groot. And
yeah, so that's right. That's where, because before that, like Star-Lord was the space cop.
Yeah.
Right. He was the single Green Lantern type person. If you're more familiar with DC in the Marvel universe, he had the uniform. That's what he grew up in. And it wasn't until all that happened to where he basically got stripped of being a space cop because he just let them come in and run rapid and destroy everything. And so he had to go fix it. So then we get the current Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep. And like, it wasn't really until the movie that Star-Lord was young and spry again, because he was a cranky old man in Annihilation and Conquest.
Which is why he was my favorite character.
Yeah.
Star-Lord in the comics at the time was one of my favorite characters. So he was.
Yeah, it was a good character.
And he died. Oh my God, that Star-Lord character died.
Oh yeah, a bunch.
Many times and iterations. So side note, so there's 5 characters that's currently in the Marvel 616 that know that they have lived multiple lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's Star-Lord, Miles. I can't remember. They did a whole thing of it after the Ultimate Universe died.
Right.
I know Star-Lord. So Star-Lord knows, right? Like he
Mhm.
knows that he's died and lived these multiple lives through this. Miles knows about the Ultimate Universe. Miles is like the Miles and what's the evil Reed?
Oh, the Maker.
Yeah, the Maker. So they know about the Ultimate Universe. But there's 2 or 3 other characters that actually know that they've died and lived all these multiple lives. So every now and then they'll have like a little, like an Easter egg in a book that'll just kind of mention an off comment. And if you're not really if you don't know the history, you won't really know what they're talking about. You'll just pick it up as something else and then move on. So she gets that look.
I know.
Have you noticed?
I know.
When she gets that look.
I can always tell when
like,
there's a question. 'Cause
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah, she's like, will you two shut up so I can ask a question?
You know, kindly, but fine. I'll just interrupt.
Yeah, sure.
What characters do you wish got more attention or a better story?
Well, Marvel side, it would be Quasar. Like I wish they would do something again with Wendell Vaughn, which was the original Quasar, and I guess he was Marvel Boy at one time. He was many different things when he worked for the Vault.
Yeah, Project Pegasus.
Project Pegasus.
Yeah,
and
there hasn't really been a good Quasar story since his book ended in like 90 or 91, whatever
something
it was.
like that. And that's just one of my favorite things. Like he's been one of my favorite characters for a long time, and they've kept bringing him in. Like he was in the current Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
They did like a 4-issue series where they made the basically the most powerful team the Marvel Universe has ever seen.
That was a crazy team,
and he was a part of it. And they tried to do something then, but they keep twisting it a little bit. So I would like for this see him they would do something with that, but they're not really doing a whole lot of sci-fi type things right now. So,
and for me, I'm going to go DC since you went Marvel, and there has not been a good Booster Gold story since the Jeff Johns run right after Infinite Crisis.
Booster Gold. I cannot believe you came up with Booster Gold.
I love Booster Gold.
You Booster Gold, what?
I'm hoping that because it seems like we're going to get some new Booster Gold media content that isn't necessarily comics, that we'll get a new comic that's good. Because the stuff they did with Booster in the New 52 was fine, but it just felt like it was treading the same water that I read before. The first truly like great Booster Gold story. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the iteration of Justice League in the 80s with Booster Gold and Blue Beetle and all that. But post Infinite Crisis Booster Gold, where Rip Hunter and all the time travel stuff and policing the time stream, brilliant storytelling, absolutely brilliant. And we haven't seen anything close to it since then. So,
I mean, we get like one-offs here and there, but I would like to see something more done.
The last Booster Gold story that I thought was really good was the Flintstones one shot.
That's so much.
But that was Mark
Russell.
Yeah. Who if you guys haven't read that Flintstones run, it is whew,
yeah,
spicy.
You should read the Flintstones run by Mark
God,
Russell.
it's so good.
It is.
Yeah.
It might be one of the best things you'll ever read.
Yeah, it's great. There was a bunch of good Hanna-Barbera stuff around that time, but the Flintstones Booster Gold was pretty good.
The Jetsons was really good too, though. We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah.
All right, what you got?
Why is Death one of Phillip's favorite characters?
Why not? She's awesome.
That's great. Nice and easy.
I mean, we're talking the Sandman. We're talking Sandman universe and Death, and she is one of my favorite characters because I think it's the best way to look at Death, right? Like everyone always looks at a Grim Reaper or something like that as this horrible human being, and Death in the Sandman universe is not this horrible human being. She is here to bring you comfort. That is their whole point, right? It's to bring you comfort in your life to what you've done, not to like come with a big scythe and cut your head off or whatever. It's to bring comfort. And so she is just one of my favorite characters in that whole universe.
It's hard to bring abstract concepts to life as a character, as a living, breathing thing. And Neil Gaiman's really good at it. Clearly, the Dreaming are all abstract concepts that he created characters around. And Death is one of those that, like, she shows up. She's very important for the time she's there, and then she goes away. Right. Because that's Death.
Yeah. I could do a whole Neil Gaiman show on anything, like all of his books, all of his comics. I am a huge Neil Gaiman fan. His stuff is phenomenal. So.
And if you don't feel like you can delve into the graphic novels, that you don't know that you can allot that much time, the Netflix series is about as faithful an adaptation of a graphic novel as I've ever seen. Right. They do a fantastic job. The Death in the show is absolutely perfect. She is
amazing.
Gosh, she's so good. Yep. So anyway, yes. Abstract concepts, hard to write.
Awesome. Well, so we have about 10 minutes left. I have a very specifically worded question for you guys.
Wow. Wow, it's like paper and stuff.
Yes, I was told to tell you that this question is from Cody. Please explain the circumstances that led to you each working in the store and rising to your current positions, and in Phillip's case, being the owner.
You got here first, so I'll let you.
What?
How did you come to work here?
How did I come to work here? It was a cold, wintry day. It was.
So see, you start making bad decisions,
right?
First, and then you just keep going.
Yeah. So I actually moved to this wonderful land of Richmond, Virginia, back in '92, and so basically I lived right actually next to Richmond Comics at the time, which was in Beaufort Mall. Mm-hmm. Which, if you don't know where Beaufort Mall is, fine. It's in Midlothian Turnpike.
It's way
closer
down to the city.
Yeah. For the people watching in Alaska, don't worry about it. It's just down the street here. And so basically I moved up here at the end of '92, and I found Richmond Comics, I think February of '93. And I started shopping there. And then in March of '93, I actually started working there, writing a software program. Mm-hmm. So my job here was basically to write a subscriber program. So everyone would have their books pulled and everything like that. So that took like a month or so of my time. And so I basically worked here since then. So I've been working here since '93. Most had other job, right? So most of it was coming after work and work until close and working on a software program, work on some weekends, did a whole bunch of stuff, which led for a very long time. And then, so that's how I came to work here. Now, as Tommy said, then bad decisions were made. So one of my dreams was always to own a comic shop, which seemed like a really good dream at the time, right? So, and then let's see, we were in 2022. So in 2012, 2010, around 2008, 2008. So around 2008, I actually bought into the shop. There were 3 owners at the time. I bought out one of the owners. And then that was 2008, I believe. And then I bought out another one in 8 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was 8 years.
8 or 9 years ago. So around 2015, 14.
Somewhere around there.
And then I became the majority owner then. And then at the time it was Frank and I as the owner. And then Frank passed away. And then when he passed away, I ended up purchasing that last share. So I've been the majority owner here since, when did Frank pass away? 6 years now?
I think it was 6 years. Yeah.
6 years?
Yeah.
So 2017?
Yeah, something like that.
So I've been an owner since 2008. I've been the majority owner since 2013, whatever. And then 2016, I was the full owner of Richmond Comics. So that's kind of how I got here. And now I'm stuck here.
It was your own decision.
Yeah, I just woke up one day behind the counter ringing somebody up. I don't know how I got here. No, I was unemployed. This is, I don't know, 2003, 2002. I don't know, somewhere around in there. And Hero Clicks was a thing. It's a miniatures game, superhero themed. And a buddy of mine,
Gotta catch them all. Different.
it's slightly different. A buddy of mine was also unemployed at the time, and we would spend the first, 6 hours of the day putting in job applications places, and then he would come over, and we would spend the next 3 or 4 hours playing this game. And in the 6 months that we played this game at my kitchen table, I never won a game. He just trounced me every time. And then he finally, after 6 months, talked me into going to his shop where he got his comics and where he played his games. And I was like, at the time I was living in Ashland. And I was like, man, Southside is really far. I got to go across a river. Like, I got to get shots and some papers. And I just don't know. It's really far. And
stamp your passport.
288 had just gone in. So keep that in mind. However long ago it was, I can't remember exactly. So I rode with him over here. We played some games. I got to know Frank a little bit. And after a year or so, I don't know. I don't remember if I asked Frank for a job or if he asked me if I wanted to help out or whatever. But for about a year, I guess, I was here on Wednesdays helping put books away.
Sucker. I mean, yeah.
And I was also here every Friday night and every Saturday. And the Friday night and Saturday, I was here playing games. Like Friday night, there was a couple different games going on, and we would play those. And then on Saturday, it was HeroClix. And so for about a year or so, I literally only was scheduled to work on Wednesday, but Frank got so used to me being here on Friday that the one time I didn't show up on a Friday, he called me and he's like, "Where are you at?" And I was like, "I'm at the First Friday's art walk down in the city." "Why?" He's like, "Why aren't you here?" And I'm like, "Frank, I don't work on Fridays. I only work on Wednesdays." And he was like, "Oh, right. Never mind. Bye." And then the next time I saw him, he was like, "So do you want to start working on Fridays too?" And I was like, "Absolutely. Let's do it." So I don't know how long I had worked here before Frank was like, I guess it was 2008 or so. I started 2007.
2007.
I started working here fullish time.
Yes.
So 2007, I started working here full time. And about 8 minutes before the housing market crash, Frank retired and moved to Norfolk, and I was running the store by myself. And then all of a sudden, the economy didn't work anymore. So that was a fun time.
I've worked very little at the store during that time.
Yeah.
So I had another job.
When I started working here, I thought Phillip hated me because around the time I started working here, he stopped.
That is true.
Like the first couple Wednesdays I was here in the afternoon after he got off work, he was here, and we didn't really talk a whole lot because by that point in the day, I was kind of tired, and I was usually would leave around the time he would get there. And then after a few weeks, it was like, "Well, where's Phillip?" And Frank's like, "Oh, he's not going to be working here for a while." And I was like, "Uh-oh, what did I do?"
I had other things at the time going on in my life. So I disappeared.
A good like 2 years, I think.
Yeah,
right?
It was about 2 years.
Yeah,
it was about 2 years. I worked some here during that time, and like Saturdays or something when you wasn't here.
Yeah,
but yeah, I disappeared for a while because I went back to school, to U of R, and got my bachelor's and stuff, and so I was doing a lot of that and not necessarily in here. So
yeah. And then,
but then there's lots of other stories. Like, the store almost sold someone else at one time.
Yeah, that was a weird time.
There was lots of other things going on before I finally had enough and made horrible decisions to buy.
Yeah, it worked out okay for me, but
yeah, well,
so far so good.
It's here.
But I expect that one day I will just fall over dead sitting at the register, and then my ghost will ring people up for the rest of the time. That's my expectation.
That's fair. Yeah, that's also fair.
1
Tess,
minute
Tess then
until
will have to-
7:44. It's
Tess will have to
7:44.
take over then.
I would.
Tess will have to push you out of the chair
I will.
and take over
I
and,
will.
and start ringing things up.
Fair enough.
So that's the short answer of how we got here. There's a
Yeah.
much longer answer
Mhm.
that we just 45 minutes just isn't enough. Anything else you got for us over there? I know it's
no,
almost time.
There were more questions, but it's 7:45, so
Okay.
So you just keep them for next time.
I will screenshot.
For
There you
next
go.
time. That
All
way you
right.
can answer next time.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Once again, thanks for joining us. If you like hanging out with us on this, please like this video, subscribe to our channel. We're going to keep doing things. I started posting up some of my collection this past week because people keep asking. So I'm going to start doing that. We'll still have some unboxings. I've got one coming up Thursday. We'll figure out some other videos. Watch Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur on the 15th on Disney Plus.
It's tomorrow.
So
Yeah.
Cool beans.
yeah, so watch that. So thanks again. Like, subscribe, no smashing. Bye.